Welcome to this explainer. Okay, so have you ever noticed how some leaders just seem to literally suck the intelligence right out of a room, while others, they somehow make everyone around them suddenly brilliant? Today, we're diving into Liz Wiseman's transformative research on exactly why this happens and, more importantly, how we can make sure we are doing the latter.
Let's be completely honest with ourselves for a second here. Have you ever worked for an idea killer? I mean, most of us have, right? I want you to really recall that relatable, exhausting pain of working for an energy-draining boss. You know exactly the type. The person who always has to be the smartest person in the room. You walk in with this great spark of an idea, and by the time you leave, your energy is completely sapped. Your commitment, totally gone. It's frustrating. It's exhausting. And as we're going to see, it is absolutely terrible for an organization.
Well, that exact frustration is the whole catalyst for the research we're unpacking today. It's based on the Wall Street Journal bestseller, Multipliers, How the Best Leaders Make Everyone Smarter, by Liz Wiseman. Using data from over 150 leaders, this book breaks down exactly why some leaders shut down the potential of others, literally shrinking what their enterprises can do, while other leaders inspire just absolute boundless productivity.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap. First, we'll look at the two types of leaders. Second, the multiplier effect. Third, 5 multiplier disciplines. Fourth, the accidental diminisher. And finally, becoming a multiplier. Section 1. 2 types of leaders. Energy sappers versus capability amplifiers. So the core contrast between these two types of leaders, it really comes down to their base assumptions. Diminishers operate from this fundamental belief that people just will not figure things out without them. Because of that, they feel they need to be the smartest person in the room. They micromanage, they dictate, and ultimately they just drain energy. But then on the flip side, we have multipliers. Multipliers operate on the assumption that people are inherently smart and, they'll figure things out. Because they believe this, they use their own intelligence not to show off, but to amplify the smarts and capabilities of everyone around them. They aren't just accessing what people have to offer, they are actually stretching it. Moving on to Section 2, the multiplier effect, the math of multiplication.
Now, you might be sitting there thinking, well, being a multiplier sounds nice, but does it actually drive results? Let's look at the hard data. Wiseman's research found that multipliers get an average of 1.97 times more capability out of their people compared to diminishers. I mean, think about that number for a second. Almost 2 times. That is a real game changer. They aren't just tapping into abilities, they are compounding them. They get 100% of their people's current abilities, and then they stretch them even further.
And here's the crucial reality. Most people in any given organization are heavily underutilized. There is literally more intelligence sitting inside our organizations right now than we are actively using. So what does this mean? It means that if you shift your leadership style, intelligence and capability can be multiplied without requiring a massive investment in new resources. You don't always need to go out and hire more people, you just need to fully utilize the people you already have. It's a completely different way of thinking about corporate logic. All right, Section 3, 5 multiplier disciplines, the core contrast. Let's break these down. On one side of the talent spectrum, you have the empire builder. This is a diminisher who basically hoards talent just to make themselves look good, using people for their own gain. Contrast that with a talent magnet. A talent magnet knows that genius comes in a lot of different forms. They actively look for talent everywhere. But more importantly, they find a person's native genius. That one thing they just do exceptionally well and totally naturally. Once they find it, they use them to their absolute fullest and just clear out any blockers standing in their way. No wonder people absolutely flock to work for talent magnets, right? They know they're going to grow. Now for the second discipline. Let's see how this builds into the work environment itself. The diminisher acts as a tyrant. They rely on intimidation, which creates this highly stressful environment where people just shut down. The multiplier, though, acts as a liberator. A liberator creates this unique space where everyone actually has permission to think. Now, don't get me wrong, this doesn't mean it's easy. There's a brilliant analogy in the source material about William Tell shooting an apple off his son's head. When you're expected to perform at your best, you feel positive pressure. That's William Tell holding the bow. But when you're held to outcomes totally beyond your control, you feel negative stress. That's his son waiting for the arrow. Liberators create intense positive pressure, not that paralyzing negative stress. Which brings us to this really powerful quote. People's best thinking must be given, not taken. You literally cannot force true genius out of people through fear and intimidation. Tyrants demand people's best thinking, but the irony is, they never actually get it. Liberators, on the other hand, Create a space where people willingly offer up their absolute best. Okay, discipline number 3 deals with how we set direction. The know-it-all tells everyone exactly what to do. They provide all the answers. But the challenger, they approach things entirely differently. Instead of talking about problems, they seed opportunities. They lay down challenges that are actually so immense that people can't answer them based on their current knowledge. By asking massive probing questions rather than just handing out a list of instructions, they force the team to stretch, to learn, and really rise to the occasion. Next up is discipline 4, decision-making. A diminisher acts as an isolated decision-maker. They rely only on a few inner circle voices or, honestly, just themselves. A multiplier is a debate maker. They know how to engage many perspectives and really make use of all the intelligence on the team. By generating this rigorous debate right up front, they allow team members to put their fingerprints all over the final decision. Even if the leader ultimately makes the final call, the team actually understands the why and has genuine buy-in to go execute it. And the 5th and final discipline focuses on execution. Diminishers are micromanagers. Because they don't believe the team can actually figure it out, they jump in and take over at the very first sign of a glitch. I mean, we've all felt that breath on the back of our necks, haven't we? Multipliers, however, act as investors. They give people actual ownership. They see their role as teaching, coaching, and supplying resources, but keeping the accountability for the play entirely with the players. They absolutely refused to jump in and take the work back when problems arise. And that builds organizations that can eventually win without the leader even being on the field.
Moving to section 4, the accidental diminisher. Good intentions gone wrong. Now, right about now, you might be thinking to yourself, hey, I'm no tyrant. But here is a really uncomfortable truth. Most managers are well-meaning people who just accidentally stifle their teams. As a leader, it feels deeply compassionate to shield your team from failure, right? Or to jump in and save the day when a project is struggling. But the source material makes this striking point. Protecting teams from natural consequences actually stunts their learning. Real intelligence develops from trial and error. So when you rescue someone, you are removing the critical feedback loop they desperately need to grow. Your good intentions actually end up diminishing their long-term capability.
Finally, section 5, becoming a multiplier, actionable steps.
Wiseman's research really emphasizes that these aren't just innate personality traits you're either born with or not. They are skills. They are practices that absolutely anyone can learn. So here are 5 highly practical steps to change your habits starting right now. First, start with your assumptions. Actively choose to believe your team is smart and can figure things out. Second, work the extremes. Neutralize your biggest diminisher weakness while simultaneously building onto your most prominent multiplier strength. Third, run an experiment. Just try one new practice, like maybe ask questions instead of giving answers for a whole week. Fourth, brace for setbacks. Change means failure. People might stumble a bit when you first give them more ownership. And finally, number 5, ask a colleague. We all have blind spots, so ask your peers to point out your accidental diminisher tendencies. So, ask yourself this vital question from the research. Do you view intelligence as something just a few people possess? Really give that a moment of honest self-evaluation. According to the research, answering yes to this question marks you as a potential diminisher, even if you never in a million years imagined yourself to be one. It all starts with how you view the people around you. Look at your daily habits, the way you run your meetings, and how you delegate tasks. Are you multiplying or diminishing your team? Just imagine for a second what you could accomplish if you harnessed all that unutilized intelligence sitting right in front of you. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Now, go unlock that hidden genius.